My name is Velkron Thaxis, and I used to be a fleet commander of the mighty Zephyrian Empire. Used to be, because right now I'm strapped to what these humans call an interrogation chair, staring at the most terrifying sight in the known galaxy. A human female smiling at me. "Good morning, Commander Thaxis," she chirped, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, and we're going to have such a fun conversation today." Fun. These creatures use that word to describe the systematic extraction of military intelligence. The irony wasn't lost on me that the species we'd dismissed as soft pink weaklings had managed to capture me, the architect of 17 successful planetary conquests. 3 cycles ago, my fleet had intercepted what appeared to be a pathetic human merchant vessel drifting near the outer rim of their solar system. Standard protocol, really. Board the ship, interrogate the crew, harvest whatever primitive technology they might possess, then vaporize the evidence. Simple, clean, efficient. Except nothing about humans is simple. "You know," Dr. Martinez continued, adjusting something on a tablet that made alarming beeping sounds, "your species has such fascinating neural pathways. We've learned so much from the other Zephyrian prisoners." Other prisoners? My heart sank to somewhere around my lower digestive tract. How many of my people had these monsters captured? "Oh, don't look so worried," she laughed, and the sound was like crystallized nightmare fuel. "Well, actually, maybe you should be worried. Just a little. We've discovered some very interesting things about Zephyrian psychology." The room was disturbingly plain. White walls, white ceiling, white floor. The only color came from a small potted plant on her desk.
A flower, actually.
Something called a daisy. If I remembered my xenobiology briefings correctly, such a delicate thing, so innocent looking, so completely out of place in a torture chamber. "Now then," she said, pulling up a chair that scraped against the floor with a sound that made my scales crawl, "let's start with something easy. How many ships are in your main battle fleet?" I straightened my neck ridge as much as the restraints allowed. "I am Fleet Commander Velkron Thaxis of the Zephyrian Empire. My rank designation is 7 Alpha Prime. I will provide no information beyond what is required by the—" "Oh, honey," she interrupted, and somehow that term of endearment sounded more menacing than any threat. "You really haven't been paying attention to our recent negotiations with your empire, have you?" "Negotiations? What negotiations?" "The empire didn't negotiate with inferior species. We conquered them." She tapped her tablet again, and suddenly the wall in front of me lit up with what appeared to be a holographic display. But that was impossible. Human technology was centuries behind ours. Everyone knew that. The image showed space, deep space, and floating in that vast emptiness was something that made my blood turn to liquid nitrogen. Ships, human ships, hundreds of them, thousands of them, arranged in perfect formation, as far as the display could show, each one bristling with weapons that I didn't recognize, but somehow knew were far more advanced than anything in our arsenal. "Pretty impressive, isn't it?" Dr. Martinez said conversationally, as if she were showing me vacation pictures instead of what was clearly the largest military fleet in galactic history. "We call it Operation Welcome Mat. You know, because we're such hospitable people." I tried to speak, but my vocal cords had apparently decided to take an extended vacation. "The funny thing is," she continued, zooming in on one of the vessels, "we never really wanted to fight you. Honestly, we were perfectly happy to keep to ourselves, maybe trade a little, share some recipes.
Humans love trying new foods, you know."
But then you started this whole galactic conquest thing, and well," she shrugged, "that's just rude." The ship on the display was massive.
Easily 3 times the size of our largest dreadnoughts. And the design?
It wasn't crude human engineering. It was elegant, sophisticated, terrifyingly beautiful. "How?" I finally managed to croak. "Oh, what, sweetie? How do you have this? Your technology is primitive, your species is young. You've barely achieved faster than light travel." She laughed again, and this time there was genuine amusement in it. "Oh, Commander, you've made the same mistake that every other superior species makes when they encounter us. You assumed that what you could see was all there was." The display shifted, showing what looked like construction yards. Massive orbital installations churning out ship after ship after ship. But these weren't in human space. These were everywhere, hidden in nebulae, tucked behind asteroids, buried in the gravity wells of dead stars. "You see, we humans have this wonderful trait called paranoia," Dr. Martinez explained, standing up to pace around my chair. When we first detected other intelligent species in the galaxy, some of our leaders had a crazy idea. They thought, what if these aliens aren't friendly? Can you imagine? More images flashed across the display. Research stations, manufacturing facilities, training academies, all hidden, all producing the instruments of war on a scale that dwarfed anything my empire had ever conceived. So while you were busy congratulating yourselves on your obvious superiority, she continued, we were busy doing what humans do best. We prepared for the worst-case scenario. I felt something crack inside my chest, my worldview. Probably. But our intelligence networks, our scouts, how did we not know? Oh, you saw exactly what we wanted you to see, she said with that terrifying smile. A bunch of primitive monkeys playing with fire and barely managing not to burn themselves. Meanwhile, behind the scenes we were building the most advanced military force in galactic history. She sat back down and leaned forward, her expression suddenly serious. Here's the thing, Commander. We don't want to use it. War is messy. War is wasteful. War makes humans very, very cranky. And trust me, you don't want to see cranky humans. The display changed again, showing what I recognized as Zephyrian space, my home system, the capital world where the High Council met to plan their next conquest. Something was wrong. There were new objects in orbit, small, innocuous looking, almost like, are those? I whispered. Monitoring stations? Yes, indeed they are.
You've had eyes on every major Zephyrian military installation for the past 5 years. We know where your fleets are positioned. We know your supply lines. We know your battle plans.
She paused. We even know about that secret weapon you've been developing on the third moon of Zarian Prime. The secret weapon that only the High Council and a handful of military commanders knew about. The secret weapon that was supposed to be our ultimate advantage against any potential threat. You're lying, I said. But even I could hear how weak it sounded. The null cascade generator, she said, casually. Designed to destabilize the quantum foam and create expanding zones of dead space where faster-than-light travel is impossible. Light gay daddle. Very nasty. Very neutralized. The display showed technical schematics. Our technical schematics. In perfect detail. You hacked our systems. Sweetie. We didn't hack your systems. We built your systems. That new quantum encryption upgrade your empire installed last year, the one that was supposed to make your communications absolutely secure, guess where the core technology came from? I stared at her in growing horror. You've been controlling our intelligence from the beginning. Not controlling. Monitoring. There's a difference. We let you make your own decisions. We just made sure those decisions were based on information we were comfortable with you having. She stood up again and walked over to the potted flower on her desk, gently touching one of its petals. You know what the really funny part is? Your empire could have been great. You have amazing technology, beautiful art, fascinating philosophy. You could have been valuable partners in building something wonderful among the stars. Her voice took on a note of genuine sadness. Instead, you chose conquest. You chose to see other species as inferior. You chose violence as your primary form of communication. And that made you dangerous. The display showed more ships, more than before. There's so many that they seemed to fill space itself. So we gave you a choice, she said, turning back to me. The same choice we've given every aggressive species we've encountered. Join the galactic community as equals, or be removed as a threat. And if we refuse? Her smile returned. But this time there was no warmth in it at all. Commander, you've seen our welcome mat. That's just the ships we're comfortable with you knowing about. Would you like to see what we keep for special occasions? Before I could answer, the display changed one more time. What I saw there will haunt my dreams for whatever life I have remaining. Ships that defied physics. Weapons that rewrote the laws of reality. Defensive systems that turned entire star systems into impregnable fortresses. And at the center of it all, a space station so massive it could have been mistaken for a small planet. We call that one the Neighborhood Watch, Dr. Martinez said conversationally. It has a very simple job. Make sure everyone plays nice. I couldn't speak, couldn't think. Everything I thought I knew about the galaxy, about humanity, about my own empire's place in the universe, had been turned inside out and stomped on by a smiling human female and her potted flower. Now then, she said, settling back into her chair with her tablet, let's try this again. How many ships are in your main battle fleet? And please don't make this difficult. I have a lunch meeting in an hour, and I really don't want to miss it. The cafeteria is serving tacos today, and our kitchen staff makes the most amazing salsa verde. She was discussing the potential destruction of my entire civilization in the same tone she might use to order coffee. That's when I realized something that chilled me more than the sight of humanity's hidden armada. This wasn't interrogation. This was recruitment. And the scariest part, I was starting to think joining them might be the smartest decision my species had ever made. But first, I had to survive whatever Dr. Elena Martinez had planned for me next. And judging by that smile, survival was going to require more luck than any single Zephyrian should reasonably expect to possess. The flower on her desk seemed to mock me with its innocent beauty, a perfect symbol of humanity's greatest weapon, the ability to appear harmless right up until the moment they utterly destroyed you. I was beginning to understand why the galaxy would soon belong to the species that had mastered the art of the friendly smile, Horde, the Sandiote machine. Dr. Martinez was humming, actually humming a little tune while she tapped away at her tablet like she was composing a grocery list instead of potentially orchestrating the downfall of the Zephyrian Empire. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, and I hated that I found it pleasant. You know what I love about music? She said without looking up. It's universal. Every species we've encountered has some form of musical expression, even the Grimlock Horde, and they're basically living rocks with anger management issues. She finally glanced up at me, and I noticed her eyes weren't the cold, calculating orbs I'd expected from a master interrogator.
Well, they were warm.
Outer kind, outer kind, outer kind. The sort of eyes that belonged to someone who probably rescued injured animals in her spare time, which made her approximately 10,000 times more terrifying. But I'm getting off topic, she continued. Where were we? Oh yes, your fleet numbers. Still waiting on that answer, Commander. I took what might be my last breath, as a free being. The 7th Battle Fleet consists of 437 vessels, 12 dreadnoughts, 46 cruisers, 120 destroyers. Stop, she said gently, holding up her hand. Just stop. My hearts began beating in a rhythm that probably violated several laws of physics. Commander Thaxis, what you just told me. We already know that. We've known it for 3 years, 2 months and 16 days. We know the names of your ship captains. We know their favorite foods. Captain Zertok of the Vengeance's Pride prefers his morning stimulant with 2 measures of Altarian sweetener, no foam. Commander Yilix of the Star Render has a collection of rare minerals from 17 different worlds which she keeps in a locked cabinet in her personal quarters. She stood up and walked to the wall display which now showed what appeared to be the interior of a Zephyrian command bridge. My command bridge. From my flagship, the Eternal Conquest. We know that you have a scar on your left torso from a training accident when you were a cadet. We know you send monthly messages to your clutch sister on the agricultural world of Penthera 7. We know you have recurring nightmares about the civilian casualties from the Kepler station incident. That last one hit me like a plasma torpedo to the chest. I'd never told anyone about those dreams. Not my medical officers. Not my trusted staff. Not even my clutch sister in our private communications. How? I whispered. Because, sweetie, she said, turning back to me with that impossible smile. We've been watching, we've been learning, and we've been waiting. The display shifted again, showing something that made my already shattered worldview collapse into subatomic particles. It was a meeting room, the High Council's most secure meeting room, the one that was supposedly shielded against any form of electronic surveillance. Sitting around the table were the 12 most powerful beings in the Zephyrian Empire, and they were talking. The human resistance is stronger than anticipated, High Counselor Vex was saying. Perhaps we should consider negotiation. Negotiation is weakness, snarled War Premier Kithox. We destroy them completely, or we show the galaxy that the Empire can be defied. With what ships? Asked Counselor Thex sarcastically. Half our fleet is missing, presumed destroyed. The other half is too scared to leave port after what happened to the Third Armada. I stared at the display in shock. When was this recorded? Oh, this is live, Dr. Martinez said, casually.
Happening right now.
Actually, would you like to hear more? Before I could answer, High Counselor Vex's voice filled the room again. I'm telling you, these humans aren't what we thought. Our intelligence was completely wrong. They've been playing us from the beginning. Impossible. War Premier Kithox snapped. They're barely evolved apes with delusions of grandeur. Barely evolved apes who've made 3 of our fleets disappear without a trace, Counselor Thax pointed out. Barely evolved apes who somehow infiltrated our most secure networks. Barely evolved apes who are currently broadcasting this conversation to us on all official channels. The camera view in the meeting room shifted, focusing directly on High Counselor Vex's face as he stared at what was obviously a monitor. "Hello, counselors," came a voice from the display. A human voice. Male, calm and disturbingly polite. "This is Admiral James Parker, of the Human Defense Coalition. I hope this message finds you well." Dr. Martinez paused the feed and looked at me. "That's my boss. Lovely man. Makes excellent coffee. Terrible at poker, though." The recording continued. "We wanted to extend a formal invitation to open diplomatic negotiations regarding the current misunderstanding between our peoples. We believe there's been a significant failure in communication." War Premier Kithox roared something untranslatable, which I assume was roughly equivalent to suggesting Admiral Parker perform anatomically impossible acts. "We understand your frustration," the Admiral's voice continued patiently. "War is stressful. It's expensive. It makes everyone cranky. Nobody really wins in the end. So we'd like to propose an alternative." The display now showed space again. But this time, it wasn't the hidden human fleet. It was Zephyrian space. Specifically, it was the heavily fortified Nexus system, home to our primary military academies and weapons research facilities. Except it wasn't fortified anymore. Human ships hung in orbit around every planet, space station, and military installation. Not attacking, just there, silent, watching, waiting. "Holy void," I breathed. "As you can see," Admiral Parker's voice continued, "we've taken the liberty of making ourselves comfortable in your territory. Please don't be alarmed. We haven't harmed anyone. We've simply established a presence to facilitate these negotiations." Dr. Martinez unpaused the feed, and I watched the faces of the most powerful beings in my civilization turn various shades of terrified. "This is impossible," whispered Counselor Thax. "The Nexus system has 47 defense platforms, the most advanced sensor networks in the Empire. How did they? The same way we've been doing everything else." Admiral Parker's voice interrupted gently, very carefully, very quietly, very thoroughly. High Counselor Vex leaned forward. "What do you want?" "Peace," came the immediate reply. "Trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, maybe some recipes. Seriously, we've heard wonderful things about Zephyrian cuisine." War Premier Kithox slammed his fist on the table. "We will not surrender to inferior." "War Premier," Admiral Parker interrupted, and his tone remained perfectly polite. "With all due respect, you're not surrendering to anyone. You're joining a community. There's a difference." The display showed more images, other star systems, other species, all with human ships nearby, but also with signs of thriving commerce, technological advancement, and what appeared to be genuine cooperation. "The Altarian Collective thought the same thing you did," Admiral Parker continued. "Right up until they realized we weren't conquerors. We're gardeners."
We're gardeners.
"Gardeners?" High Counselor Vex asked, confusion evident in his voice. "We plant seeds. We provide the right conditions for growth. We protect against pests and diseases. And then we step back and watch beautiful things flourish." Dr. Martinez paused the feed again and looked at me. "That's the part most species don't understand about humans. We're not interested in ruling the galaxy. We're interested in making sure the galaxy doesn't get ruined by those who are." She walked back to her desk and gently touched the daisy again. "Do you know how many species we've had to discourage over the past 50 years? 17. 17 different civilizations that decided conquest was more fun than cooperation. What happened to them? What happened to them?" Her smile became sad. "Most of them figured out that working with us was more profitable than working against us. The Velkroni Commerce Guild makes more money now as part of our trade network than they ever did as pirates. The Thornax warrior clans have found that our joint military exercises are much more exciting than actual warfare, with significantly fewer casualties. And the ones who didn't figure it out?" The sadness in her smile deepened. "Well, let's just say there are some very pretty memorial gardens where their homeworlds used to be. We're excellent gardeners, remember." The casual way she mentioned the complete destruction of entire civilizations made my scales stand on end. But then I realized something that made me even more uncomfortable. She wasn't bragging. She was genuinely sad about it. These humans didn't enjoy violence. They were just extremely good at it when necessary. "Commander," she said, sitting back down, I'm going to ask you a very important question, and I want you to think carefully before you answer." She leaned forward, and for the first time since I'd been brought to this room, her expression was completely serious. "Do you want your species to survive?" The question hit me like a cold void wind. Not survive as in continue existing, survive as in maintain their identity, their culture, their place in the galaxy. "Yes," I said quietly. "Good, because that's what this is really about." She gestured to the display, which now showed Zephyrian children playing in what appeared to be a park. "We've studied your people extensively. You have incredible art, beautiful philosophy, and a natural talent for engineering that could revolutionize galactic infrastructure." She stood up and began pacing again. "But you also have this nasty habit of thinking you're better than everyone else, and that makes you dangerous. Not because you're particularly good at warfare, you're actually kind of terrible at it, but because you inspire other species to be dangerous too." The display showed a galactic map with various civilizations marked in different colors. Red for hostile, yellow for neutral, green for allied. "See that cluster of red systems near the galactic core?" she asked, pointing at the map. "Those are civilizations that decided if the mighty Zephyrian Empire could conquer whoever they wanted, so could they. 3 different wars have started because someone wanted to be the next Zephyrian Empire." I stared at the map, finally understanding the scope of what my people had unleashed. "So here's the deal," Dr. Martinez said, walking back to her chair. "Your empire joins our little galactic community. You get access to technologies that will revolutionize your civilization, medical advances that will extend your lifespans by centuries, transportation systems that will make your current starships look like children's toys, educational exchanges that will expand your understanding of the universe in ways you can't imagine." She sat down and fixed me with that terrifying smile. "All you have to do is stop trying to conquer everyone. And if we refuse," the smile never wavered, "then we'll be very sad. We'll hold a lovely memorial service. We'll plant some beautiful gardens, and the galaxy will be a safer place for everyone else." She tapped her tablet, and suddenly the restraints holding me to the chair released with a soft click. "But I don't think you'll refuse," she continued, "because you're smart enough to recognize a good deal when you see one, and because you finally realized what every other species in this galaxy has learned." I rubbed my wrists where the restraints had been, hardly daring to believe I was free. "Humans," she said, standing up and extending her hand to me in what I recognized as their traditional greeting gesture, "make much better friends than enemies." I stared at her outstretched hand for a long moment, then slowly reached out and grasped it. Her grip was firm, warm, and somehow reassuring. "Welcome to the neighborhood, Commander Thaxis," she said with that impossible smile. "I think you're gonna like it here." As I shook hands with the human who had just casually dismantled my entire worldview, I realized something that would have horrified me just hours earlier. She was right. And that smile that had terrified me?
It was the smile that ended a galactic war before it could truly begin.
The smile that saved my species from themselves. The smile that opened the door to a future none of us had dared imagine. I was still holding her hand when Admiral Parker's voice filled the room again, this time addressing me directly. "Commander Thaxis, we have a proposition for you. How would you like to help us redesign the galaxy's defense networks? We could use someone with your expertise." I looked at Dr. Martinez, who nodded encouragingly. "Besides," she added with a laugh, "someone needs to teach our engineers how to make proper Zephyrian battle armor. Ours is functional, but yours is actually stylish. And that's how I, Velkron Thaxis, former Fleet Commander of the mighty Zephyrian Empire, became the galaxy's newest convert to humanity's most devastating weapon of mass construction. Their friendship."